Again, so the group coaching assignment for this week is I want everybody to go back and look at their core values with this theme in mind. Why looking back on your life helps you to look forward. So, for instance, if you look back on what you valued as, for me, like as a little boy, like the Matchbox cars, I valued playing in the river as a little boy. And even still to this day, I still like those things. I like to sit down with my kids and get nostalgic with one as a kid. We got one of these like little crisscross things where all the Matchbox cars are running around and crashing into each other. I think I love it as much as my kids, but I don't value that for the same reasons now as I did then. So when you look at your core values, the end of this video, the assignment is go back and look at what's vision number 2, which is the assertion of figuring out what your hierarchy of core values is. So for you to intrinsically define what your core values are. Now, as you're going through this, I think it's helpful if you can remember the 13 questions. So there's 13 questions. Each of the 13 questions has 3 answers. So you're going to have 39 tallies total. So the first question, just for instance, is what do you fill your primary personal professional space with? The area you spend the largest volume of time at or in. What is there that is within arm's length of your reach? If there was a fire and you had to leave, what are the 3 things you would definitely grab? What do these items really represent or mean to you? So the biggest question is the first one, what do you fill your primary personal or professional space with? So if I look around here, right, like I've got computer equipment, I've got books. So what does that mean? So that can mean a couple things. So for me, looking at my computers now, what that represents is it's a way for me to make money, right? So, and I do value financial abundance. I look back to when I was a little boy, what those computers would have meant, it would have been entertainment because I would have played video games on them. There was a time actually in college where computers were, it was a way to get homework done, but it was a way that I could connect with people. So there was a social piece that computers represented for me when I was in college. So I think it's important if you look at the spaces that around here. The other thing is like I've got books over there. So books now actually represents to me this idea of optimal human development. I read a Grant Cardone book. I read a David Baum book. I'm reading a Chihai Csikszentmihalyi book on flow. The reason why I'm reading those is because it helps me to understand the idea of what a human being is. Now, when I was in college, actually, those books would have represented probably my value on finances because I would have been doing books, putting my nose in the book to get a degree, which would have led to a job. The job would have led to eventually money. So here's where it's important to, again, look back at the things that you have valued consistently through your life and look at what they've meant to you and realize that life is not static, but it's dynamic, it's evolving, and it's changing consistently. Those challenges that were once a challenge when you're a little boy, for me, some of them are challenges, but most of them I've mastered. Like I've mastered writing my name. We've all been 4 years old and writing our name. So I've mastered the process of physically writing. Now, to me, I haven't actually mastered the art of like writing books. I have written a book, yes, but I don't consider myself to be like a literary expert. So for somebody who, like, again, looks at like when you were a little boy, what did that writing represent? A way to communicate, right? Social acceptance. To eventually, like when I wrote my book, it was all about optimal human expression, leaving a legacy, and even a little bit of family. So again, when you look back at these 13 questions, 3 answers each, you're going to come up with 39 different answers. It's important to understand what they mean to you now. And it's always helpful to look back at what it meant to you when you were younger, different phases in your life, because that will help to guide you looking forward. So if you look and say, okay, well, I spend a lot of time. So my life's so busy right now. I'm packing up. There's boxes here. My pictures are gone off my wall. This is the next project this weekend. So there was once a time where I would plug in a movie as a way to connect with my wife. So like entertainment and watching movies, going to movies was actually part of family. I want to go to movies with my wife so I can get to know her, I can date her, I can love her, maybe she'll love me back. And then eventually we had kids, and the idea of like entertainment with kids is frankly just to park the kids and relax and have some relaxation. So if I'm ever going to put the TV on now, I'm really clear that it's if I'm putting it on, it's part of a relaxation, it's part of a creating time for me. And what it does is it's part of my optimal human expression. It allows my mind just to settle down for a little bit, and so I can move into the next phase of life. I've been, again, so busy with packing. One of the things that I can do to take the stress off of all the stuff I've get done, sometimes I'll put a movie on while I'm packing, because it just helps for my mind to just relax a little bit. Because what's important for me, right? The most important thing, and the reason why I'm moving, is family. I want my family to get there safe. I want also I'll get to there as financially, economically as possible. But it has to happen on my terms. And it has to happen in a way that's not going to pull my marriage apart. It's not going to be like just total bedtime for my kids all the time. So again, looking back at like just something like Netflix or TV, and we all do it, is it a distraction or is it meaningful? Get clear what it meant to you when you were younger and what it means to you now. Will help you get an idea of what it means to you looking forward. A lot of times you look at these things and say, God, Lord, I spend so much time with, just to stick with that analogy of TV. I spend way too much time with TV. I don't love that part of me that just sits and watches TV. Well, get clear. You do it for a reason and it serves you. So what's the reason for it? Is it relaxation time, like I'm talking about for me? And if it is, how much that do I actually need? So if you don't love the fact that, geez, I may have this entertainment core value, but I don't love it more than wealth or spending time with my family or optimal human expression or maybe physical fitness, then you choose to make a change. So again, look at how it served you, how it's currently serving you, and looking in the future, how you'd like your core values or for things to add for how things adapt in your life moving forward. I'm going to pick another one of the 13 questions. So again, the theme is why looking back helps you look forward. Number 2, how do you spend your time? What are the things that you spend your time on the most? What does this represent? So these are purely objective questions. So you want to look at these questions and objectively, not like wishy, hairy-fairy, I wish my life looked like something else. What do you spend your time on? So for me, I spend a lot of time coaching. I spend a lot of time reading. I spend a lot of time with my family. I spend a lot of time in cultivating finances and taking the financial resources and allowing money to work for me so I don't have to consistently work for it. All right. So what are you spending your time on? That's number 2. I'm just going to go through all 13 of these. Where do you spend your energy? You have to think it's important. Like when I was younger, I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy focused on how do I make this work with a woman? And I would spend a lot of time trying to figure that out by dating, by spending time with women. Now, I'm certainly no expert at that now, but I am happily married. And then you throw in this additional piece of children. So where do I spend so again, the question number 3, where do you spend your energy? For me, the relationship of family. So I'm consistently working on my relationship with my wife and my children, and still trying to maintain a relationship with myself. Looking at where you've been and how it may have changed form to the current. And if you want to continue that relationship with family, knowing how much time you spend with them is looking like, am I really spending time on the things that I like really value? Because if not, you don't like where you're at, I think this is a pretty important moment to say, okay, that's where I'm at, but I may not like that moving forward. Okay, number 4, what do you spend your money on? Purely just go look at your bank statement. So for me, like the number 1 thing we spend our money on for us is our family and our business. Number 5, where are you most organized and ordered? Where are you predictable? Like I'm never late for work. I'm never late for a client phone call. So I'm predictable in those areas. I'm predictable in taking care of my kids and making sure that they have athletics to do, because I value health. So I want my kids to be moving their body and sleeping. So I have got a core value of health as well. Number 6, where are you reliable, disciplined, and focused? What does nobody have to remind you to do? Nobody has to remind me to show up for work. Nobody has to remind me to pay bills. Nobody has to remind me to read. Nobody has to remind me to change a diaper, because I value my family. So again, looking at where you've been, what has consistently nobody ever have to remind you to? What did the teachers tell you that you're organically really good at? That's an important piece. What comes natural to you? Number 7, what do you think inwardly about? And the important thing is the qualification of that and is showing signs of manifesting. Because if something is not showing signs of manifesting, then all you have is a fantasy. You don't have a value. So what are you thinking about? Well, I've been thinking of taking this trip forever. Are you actually like researching flights? Do you know how much it costs? Do you know how long the flight is over there? Like I've been thinking about going to Greece forever. Is it showing signs of manifesting? So yeah, let's stick with that. So I went to Greece when I was, again, look at where I've been. I spent time in Greece when I was switching careers the first time through, and I love Greece. And for me, the idea of traveling for a day and acclimating and then spending time in Greece and then spending a day back, I, I like the idea of having at least 2 weeks. Well, my current, well, now past job as a chiropractor didn't allow me that amount of freedom and flexibility, but I'm taking steps for that to manifest. I do have a high value on travel and on culture. I want my children to be able to experience Greece and Europe, for instance. So how's that? What are the chances of that manifesting? I've sold my business. I'm moving into something like coaching, which is much more time flexible. And so I can be anywhere in the world coaching, for instance. Okay, so that's number 7. What do you visualize or envision and is showing signs of manifesting? So think about where you're at. Like when you were a little boy and you look back, if you're a girl, and you look back at where you were, how much did you have to think of, how much did you think about that? And then all of a sudden you're here. Most people thought about getting a job when they grew up and they want to be a financial advisor, they want to be a chiropractor, right? So what do you think about in showing signs of manifesting? I always wanted to work with people. So the value for me is not chiropractic. Value for me is on working with people and helping them to develop their optimal human expression, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So that's a high value for me. I remember I used to pray when I was a little boy. God, please help me be a good boy, a good man. Please teach me how to be good, and please teach me how to help people. So I would think about that all the time. Sometimes I didn't understand why I did things a certain way. I think we even are all still there today, don't understand why we're there. The important thing, again, looking back at where I was, I wanted to help people. I wanted to learn to be quote unquote good. And I didn't really know what that meant. I just said, geez, I want to be good. I want to help people. So whether or not you judge me as good or bad, I feel like I'm at least making a mark in helping our society in some way, shape, or form, our little community here. I believe we've served them well for 10 years, and I'm going to serve the full circle community well for at least another 10 years. Okay, again, knowing where you've been helps you look forward. What do you visualize? This is number 8. What do you visualize or vision and is showing signs of manifesting very similar. Number 9, what do you internally I think I went through these already. What do you internally talk to yourself about and showing signs of manifesting? Number 10, what do you externally talk to others about? This is just purely objective things. What do you chat about at a party? What engages you? What do people talk about engages you to discuss? Most people aren't talking about things like Emerson and Hegel at a party. They're not going to be talking about optimal life expression or even health. So I don't necessarily love parties. But when I'm around parties and people are talking about health and fitness and moving their body and how to be a great parent, those are things that really turn me on. I like those parties. Well, actually, funny, again, looking back where I've been, my wife once said, hey, our friends, the Turners, they don't really think that you like going to parties. I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, people are sitting around and talking about things that I really love. And then, like, it's funny because it came up at a party later, and the Turner said, we really think you like coming to our parties. I was like, no, this is great. We're all here. And the party was totally different because the clientele was there. And the things that we were talking about future and travel, those were things that was really exciting to me. So like the idle chit chat stuff I feel like I could be working instead of just socializing. When parties are just social, it just doesn't hold a strong core value for me. 11, what inspires you most? What has consistently inspired you through time and presently continues to inspire you? That's number 11. Number 12, where are you most consistent and persistent long-term goals? Again, looking back at where you've been, what are the long-term goals that existed? I want to be a doctor, I want to be a chiropractor, I want to be somebody who helps people, I want to be a good person, I want to have a family. Those standing the test of time, now you can take those and push those into the future. And number 13, this is pretty straightforward. What do you love learning, reading, studying, or listening to? Look at your Amazon, look at your library. What's on the wall? What does Amazon suggest for you? What does Google suggest for you? If you're getting things that when you're searching and you're getting things from Google, you know, what is this? Chances are that you were searching for something like subconsciously, like that you put in but forgot about. but Amazon sure reminded you of that. I don't get a whole lot of like top video game suggestions. That doesn't show up in my feed anymore. Okay, after you've done those 13 questions, 3 answers for each, 39 questions, deal with 39 answers, and you just create the hierarchy of core values. The last piece here that I want to cover, again, looking back, you'll have the 24 hours to live. So go back and look at that. And since you've done this before, you can probably just go back and reread it. So imagine you've got 24 hours to live. And you can even think about this as any moment in time when you were younger. If you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? What would you say? What's left unsaid? What's left undone? And then do that for 1 week and then 1 year for live. Do that in the present moment. But you can also look back and say, well, when I was 19 and I had a week to live, what would I have done? That will help you to identify what your core values were, maybe how much they've changed or evolved, and what you'd like them to look like moving into the future. So 24 hours to live, a week to live, a year to live. What do you do? What do you say? What's left undone? What phone calls do you need to make? And then the last exercise is the dream day exercise. So with the dream day exercise, if you had one day where you could do anything you want to do, what would it look like? And I like to think of this as like the Star Trek thing, and you could just, not necessarily beam me up, Scotty, but send me to New Orleans, send me to Greece, send me to Australia. Who's with you when you're beaming yourself to different places? What would you do? Remember, money, time isn't, and even like the normal like 24 hours is, and think of this as like a little bit more stretched out and have fun with this. Who are you spending time with? What do you do? Where do you go? In your inspired dream day, I would. And you can go back and say, my inspired dream day when I was younger would look like what? And it looks like this now. And what do I want the dream day to look like as I move into the future? There's a big piece of fear. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not strong enough? What if I'm not smart enough? That we tend to tell ourselves these stories. The reality is when you strip that fear away, we can do anything we want when we're pulled to action and when we're dialed into our core values, when we're dialed into why we're doing it. I hope this has made sense. You're looking historically back at where you've been, the same exercise that you've done before in core values, and looking at it with a historical perspective into the current and in the future. Hope this helps, gang.
Our mission at Full Circle Coaching and Consulting is to awaken individuals to the power of authentic expression and help them realize their full potential, both personally and professionally. Without a cookie-cutter approach, we help you design and manifest your most authentic dream life, resulting in you earning more money and you having more time with your loved ones. You don't need to learn anything new in order to have the business and life you desire. You need to unlearn and shed all the unsupportive beliefs and behaviors that are subconsciously sabotaging your success. We help you connect with that factory-installed inner guidance and then reverse engineer the steps it takes to go from where you are to where your heart is calling you to be. This is our specialty. Let us help. When you're ready, connect with us through the links in the description below or go to our website at fullcirclecoachingandconsulting.com.